Wilderness technology revolution. Bitcoin is immune from attack.
All right, welcome to the Crypto Show, and this is a special broadcast that probably won't make it to Bloomberg because it might scare some of those people. And we're talking with Juan Galt, and who knows where the hell he is. Where are you at? You're in Colombia, right?
I am in Colombia, yeah.
And we're fixing to all meet up in Acapulco for the Anarchy Festival. I think is that what it's being billed as now, as a festival? I know that's what it seems like it's grown into with all these different offshoots and things like that.
It's a production. It's a production.
It's a production. There you go.
Right. So Juan Galt, you're a name in the Bitcoin space. You've been involved for a while. You've spoken at previous Anarchapulco events. Why don't you tell us what you're doing this year, and maybe talk a little bit around that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so over the past year, I kind of decided to pivot towards just kind of get a little bit more niche, because I've been in the crypto space, and I've done all kinds of different things. Like I've talked about atomic swaps. I've done a lot of sort of altcoin analysis. I did like reporting for the TDV, Dollar Vigilante. I did journalism for like 3 years. And so right now I kind of want to pivot on and focus on a few things. And right now my focus is mostly Bitcoin, trying to report on some lightning things here and there, but also focusing on security and security at a level that's deeper than I hear people talk about. And that's things like inheritance, things like how to use multi-signatures, which is, a very powerful technology in Bitcoin. And so my speech was going to be about Bitcoin multi-generational wealth, inheritance, and part of what I want to do is educate people about the different custodial arrangements that we have, and what I think the consequences of that is going to be in the future, and the sort of challenges that we're going to have to face in the future, and some of the economic realities of securities of security, like as the aspect of protecting a thing. There's actually certain economic aspects to that I think we really need to be aware of. And so I'm going to be talking about some of that. And then I'm going to be doing a security workshop where I'll be teaching sort of anywhere from crypto users that are, they have some crypto and they're active internet users, but they're not like engineer nerds, right? I want to teach them sort of like what I've found to be some of the best strategies for digital security, how to protect your crypto and your online accounts and your exchanges and your social media, and so remove yourself from some of the most popular attacks. And also want to teach people how to use multi-signature with hardware wallets and just start playing with it. And then I have like a functional solution for inheritance. So I want to at least let people know that there's a possibility, like a functional solution to inheritance. Doesn't solve all the problems, but it like gets you started. And so those are the kind of the topics that I'm going to be doing, sort of kind of like talking about it, both at the speech.
Is your approach to that similar to Pamela Morgan's, or are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely familiar with her work. I just finished reading her book maybe a couple of months ago, and I've been thinking a lot about it. So it's aligned with her work. I think it can help. Sort of it adds to her work, but her work certainly is much more robust and covers all kinds of elements such as legal, like what do you do with the legal aspect of inheritance, as well as there's a bunch of processes sort of questions. But I think this is kind of like a simple technical solution that's not on the cutting edge. It's using mainstream tools.
Hers is more of a legal lawyer approach, and yours will be more hands-on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine is a little bit more. It's a simple technical solution. It's nothing crazy, but it's mostly like I'm going to be sort of educating people about some of the challenges that they would face if they actually care about doing their estate plannings or their inheritance. And and I'm going to be doing that at a workshop that's going to be on the 16th of February, between 2 to 6 p.m. And then I'll do it a couple more times right after that, but that would be the first one during inside of the Princess Hotel.
Okay, yeah. So that was one thing. I wanted to get a little bit of the logistics before we dive into it. So you're speaking at Anarchapulco on the 16th for sure, but you're also you had said offline that we were talking. You're going to be sharing this information at Anarchapulco and a separate event at the residence that you've rented down there. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking, I believe it's on the 14th, it's during the Cryptopulco. I can get you the exact date that I'll be speaking, but okay. That's going to be a day or two before the workshop, and then the workshop is going to be on the 16th.
So that's the workshop. So you'll be
That's
speaking
right.
and you'll be doing a workshop.
Yeah, I'll actually be speaking twice by the looks of it. The second one isn't exactly confirmed yet, but might happen, and that would be during the Infinite Man sort of side conference that Sasha Dagem is putting together. So I'll be doing a speech there
Okay.
as well, looks like, and then I'll be doing speech, and then a workshop on the 20th at my house at the Crypto Hippie Beach House, which is sort of a house that I get together with some friends. We have a side podcast that's top secret because nobody knows about it. It's called the Crypto Hippie Drum Circle podcast, and we just sort of talk about whatever's interesting. And yeah, we have a house, and we're just gonna be chilling. We're gonna throw a party at some point, probably on the 18th, and then I'll be doing a workshop there on the 20th, and then afterwards comes Anarchapulco, which is kind of like a grassroots sort of conference that's sort of risen to meet some of the demand for that grassroots people have, like some of the community has, and that's going to happen on between the 20th and the 24th, I believe, and at the Copacabana.
And our listeners should, if you want to know more about the Anarchapulco, you can check out the interview with Lily and John that we did previously, and that should be airing soon enough. All right, so why are you intent on sharing this information, Juan? What led you to this? Have you experienced losses with multi-generational wealth, or is this a space thing that you're observing, or what motivated you to go in this direction?
Well, I mean, I'm a weird guy. I kind of follow like whatever fascinates me, and that tends to be really complicated things. And and so I ended up running into this inheritance problem like 3 years ago. I started thinking about it. It's like, fuck, what happens if I get hit by a truck? Sorry for cursing. Like, what happens to your crypto? And I think the answer to that is, if you don't do anything about it, nothing happens to your crypto ever again. For the rest of the time.
Yeah, we have seen, and there have been a number of incidences where people have passed on and not managed their keys appropriately. They haven't left the right kinds of information. And I know, for me personally, that I need to take some steps. I actually have a list of things to go through, and I believe that Pamela Morgan has offered some information on this. So is this something that you're recommending for personal aspects? Is it driven by some sort of philosophy that you're kind of developing, or what's the directional piece here? Is it mostly focused on Bitcoin also, or is it just crypto in general?
Yeah, so I'm not using any crazy software. I'm just using industry standards, and I'm using popular tools that are believed to be secure if you're a normal person, or if you're sort of a crypto person. If you're like Snowden or James Bond, I can't help you. It's a whole other level of security you got to deal with. But like, I think for normal people and for people that are sort of trying to be active in this space and are building reputations in this space, it's important that you at least think about like do some studying on digital security. We don't get taught these things at school. This is not part of education, right? It's a new world. And since the birth of Bitcoin, the security industry has changed dramatically, and the stakes for security in the internet have changed dramatically. And I don't know that the tools that we have, that people are used today, are really caught up with that. In fact, I think it's a constant race.
I have to say, I agree with you on this, and I think I even mentioned in my talk last year at Anarchapulco that there will be mechanisms that come up that allow you to still use username and password mechanisms that most of us are pretty much comfortable with in terms of security right now. But I agree with you that there's going to be another level of education that's going to need to happen in terms of private key management that a lot of people just haven't been taught. They're not aware of, and it sounds like this is the niche that you're trying to address, this area of need, this education for the masses of essentially what is private key management. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, we all talk about being your own bank, I think it was Obama that said, people are going to be walking around with Swiss bank accounts in their pockets. It's like, yeah, that's a great idea, but that comes with a great deal of freedom and sovereignty, but it also comes with certain responsibility and certain costs and risks, right? Like I think the tragedy of the life, in a sense, is that freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. Like it would be great if it was free, but it's not free. And one of the costs, you have to learn to protect your property rights. And to some degree, the opportunity that we have in the crypto space is directly correlated with the difficulty of actually acquiring crypto. and protecting crypto and keeping the crypto. And so the day that it becomes not like mainstream easy to enter Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies or crypto assets, that's the day that the opportunity to make a bunch of money in it is going to be gone. And so if you want to figure it out, I'm willing to teach people what I've figured out, what's worked for me. I've never been hacked. The only losses that I've had in crypto was when I got in at the beginning, and I didn't know that you had to back up your wallet, and then my laptop died, and I was like, fuck it, I don't know, I just didn't think about it, and I lost some Bitcoin there, and so that was like a moment that, on hindsight, has sort of motivated a lot of my study and really kind of thinking about how to protect things and just not because user error, it's hard to say whether user error has been responsible for more losses than hacks. Probably hacks are more, but user error has its lies. And I think we can do a lot to curb that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, go ahead, Danny. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying, so it sounds like, I mean, one of the perspectives here that I think is important to point out, that the reason that we want to secure ourselves is so that we can protect, the reason we want to protect our property is really essentially from theft. We can do things to protect from loss, but it sounds like you're very much focused now on theft. What sorts of threats of theft are you most focusing on with your current focus?
I would say I'm focusing on both. I would say that the strategy that I've developed, and this is not just me, like this is talking to friends of mine, paranoid friends of mine, not anybody that's super sort of high, recognition, but I'm following people in the space. I'm reading what anybody that works professionally in the space is reading. And so I'm focusing on things that will help people not get hacked by the most popular attacks, and I'll mention some, but also just not mess up themselves, because that's equally as tragic, if not even more sad. So some of the popular ones is like the SIM card hijack attack, where somebody will call up AT&T and be like, "Hey, I'm Danny Sessom. I lost my phone. Will you please forward the phone number back to me?" And if sometimes they have insiders, and basically they've managed to do that and get the SIM card. And once we have once they have the phone number forwarded to your phone, then they can pull like a password reset on things like certain two-factor authentication apps and on their email. And once you own somebody's email and or their email and their two-factor authentication, you own their social media and you own their exchanges, which means you can steal their crypto on their exchanges, and then you can go and scam people on their social networks.
And their emails
that's
and everything else. This happened to Michael Turpin for multi-million dollars, and he's actually
$25
suing
million.
AT&T. Yeah, he's suing AT&T over that, and that's right. They got in there, and they cloned his phone, and they got into his email, and inside the email they found several wallets, and they pulled that out, and it was multi-millions.
Right, and I have to agree, that is probably one of the most popular, the SIM card swap. I was a target of that twice, and I actually had to set up on my account with the company that I work with for my cell phone service to only make changes to my account if I'm physically present with an ID. I had done that once after setting up a separate PIN, which was supposed to protect changes, but apparently the PINs had been hacked, I learned from my own research. So, and not only that, but there were insiders who were handing out private information, private database information, and essentially selling it on the market, very much like the Equifax information.
So one of the tools to avoid this is to set up a Google Voice account, and then never give your phone number out to anyone. You give out the Google number instead. Right.
Yeah, and that's something that I should probably be more responsible with. But I think there's a lot of different options. Well, I'm certainly excited to hear more about this. The security management practices and what you're going. And I hope to try to attend your talk and or workshop if I have available time. Let's move a little bit into what's going on in the market. What does Juan Galt see in the Bitcoin market these days? Like, how are you dealing with the bear market? What are you seeing happening, and what do you expect in the coming months?
Yeah, I think we're in for a rough bear market, guys. I don't think we're done yet. I think we might have another 6 months of bear. I think we are in that moment. Excuse me. We're in the moment of quiet building.
Blasphemy.
Or
Yeah, that may be true. I've been seeing a little bit of activity around banks trying to acquire large tranches of Bitcoin. Have you seen or been connected to any of this activity?
I've been hearing about that for a while, and there's certainly been a lot of kind of, well, I haven't heard of banks specifically, but I have gotten like over the past 6 months kind of requests to help broker OTC deals and stuff like that. Those are very rare to actually connect. But I have been hearing that there's still sort of active demand on the OTC markets. I think people are accumulating, and anybody that's sort of sophisticated in terms of trading and investing should probably be accumulating right now. I certainly am trying to accumulate, and I think it's sort of what I think it makes sense, right? Like right now, dollar cost averaging will most very likely pay off in 3 to 4 years, given the history of Bitcoin's price movements. So I think,
Are you
yeah.
personally
But I
looking at
haven't
any
really,
other cryptocurrencies, or are you mainly a Bitcoin holder?
I'm mainly a Bitcoin holder. I mean, I think there's a handful of ones that I like. You know, I hold Monero. I hold some. I think Tube is a good one. Tube is or Bit.tube. They're trying to build like a Bitcoin competitor. They don't have any pre-mine. It's all 100% proof of work stuff, and they actually have like a legitimately good website. You know, like a good interface. It's a strong team, and they're very serious, right? You know, what we saw with Steam, it was a great tragedy because they had a huge opportunity and they completely squandered it to my sort of analysis. Not that I've been paying the closest of attention, but they spent 2 years and they didn't really do much of any innovation on the interface or anything like that. If they did anything, it was super back-end that nobody noticed. And so I think this guy is a much more serious team, and they're building a kind of like a YouTube alternative, and some sort of high profile sort of content creators like Jordan Peterson, some of the kind of guys that are like in the center of certain kind of free speech discussion, and they're not really left or right. They're kind of in the middle. There's a variety of them that have sort of started to kind of just move there, because you can just push one button and it uploads all your stuff to all your YouTube to their platform, and now you're kind of okay. You have a backup. So yeah, Tube seems to be kind of an interesting project. I think Namecoin is always been a great project, and there's a new team of developers that took it over recently, and they're actively working on it. And actually interviewed one of the top guys on my podcast, the Sovereign Bitcoin podcast, and yeah, so I think those are good.
So we were talking a little bit offline about how cryptocurrency might compare to the mycelium fungus. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and discuss?
Well, there's one more thing that's interesting that's coming up to my radar before we get into that is,
Okay.
have you guys heard of Gab.ia? It's a social network.
Yeah, we
I have.
post on Gab.
Yeah, so looks like Gab.ia today they tweeted out that they're going to be forking Brave, which is it's a browser that's privacy oriented. It's created by some like OG internet OGs, the guys that came up with like JavaScript and stuff. And they have like an Ethereum token called BAT, and
Basic.
basic attention token. Compared to other altcoins, they've actually held that value pretty well. But their interface, I don't know, like they just haven't. They kind of alienated people by going with their own Ethereum token. At least there's been contention around that with Bitcoiners, of course. And so Gab's saying that they're going to fork BAT, they're going to remove they're going to fork Brave, remove the BAT token, and they're just going to add Bitcoin in the Lightning Network to it.
Well, that's very interesting.
They're going to create their own browser and everything. So.
Yep.
Very nice. Okay, so you do have some favorites in the space, some ones to watch. It sounds like a little very very media oriented for the most part with the Tube and the Gap. And you talked about a little bit about Steemit earlier. Are you still personally active on Steemit?
No, I mean I haven't. I think I posted an article recently, but Steemit is dead. Like at least for me, it's dead. It's never really had much engagement. Most of the engagement for me was always bots. So I think as far as I'm concerned, Steemit is dead, or at least it's maybe the bear market is just giving it a hard time. But certainly there's been some funny drama around it that we don't necessarily have to get into. But
yeah. Right on. All right. Well, so did we have another guest that we wanted to pull in, or Danny, or do we want to wrap this one up?
Did you have somebody there, Juan, about, or
Yeah.
did you want to talk about the dance party?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I'd say is like, so you can find all the details about my workshop and what I'll be doing at byobank.info. That's byobank.info. That's my website, and I have a little video where I kind of tell people what I'm up to, and all the details. So that's byobank.info. You guys can find me there, and I'm on social media and stuff. Juan Galt. So yeah, let's bring on Gerry. Gerry LeChant. He's the founder of the Decentralized Dance Party. And I'm a big fan of the stuff that he's up to. He's a fascinating character and is doing some really cool stuff.
So Gerry, what are you into? Why are you here? Why are we having him on, Danny?
He likes to dance. So you're
doing the dance party.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, Gerry, why don't you introduce yourself? We're doing a little Anarchapulco show, and we want to hear about what you got going on at Anarchapulco and why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here. I'm here because met Juan last year on the crypto circuit. Thanks for looping me in. And yeah, we do a thing called the Decentralized Dance Party. How it works is we have an FM radio transmitter in a backpack that beams music out to hundreds of boom boxes or anything with an FM radio receiver. And it creates this mobile synchronized sound system.
So you're a mobile micro FM?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And yeah.
And how does this play out? You place these pieces around in a room, at a home, on a block. What's the broadcast range?
The range is a couple blocks, and how it works is we'll have a starting point. Everyone meets us there. We hand out usually like 100 boom boxes, lend them out for the night. And then we basically lead people on a crazy roaming party adventure through the city's streets. We'll go for 3 to 4 hours. And yeah, it's been this amazing odyssey. We've been doing them all over the world.
Oh, nice. Do you have like pre-planned stopping points, or is it random?
I went to one in Puerto Rico last year, and there was no one there. Maybe I missed it. Maybe they left before I got there. It was really decentralized because I was the only one there.
Well, thanks for trying to find it. Yeah, that got all messed up. I got stopped at the USA border and given a 5-year ban. So my buddy flew in last minute to try and make something happen. Quite a challenge. But yeah, normally it's hundreds, thousands of people. And yeah, it's just been this amazing odyssey, and it's unfolded right at the same time as Bitcoin and the whole decentralization movement, and promoted as this open source party concept. So the idea is to embody all those values. And
okay, so this is scheduled to happen around the Anarchapulco conference this year, is that right?
Yeah, I was planning to come down, and then Juan's like, hey, you should do a DDP, loop me in with Dana, and yeah, they said we could throw a giant party to close things off.
Nice. So what are the dates on that? Do you have anything locked in yet?
Yeah, that'll be on the 17th. We're doing
so this is the night of the 17th, the last night of the official Anarchapulco conference days.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're doing a workshop on the 15th to teach people how to build their own transmitters and host their own parties.
How are you gonna get all those boom boxes into Mexico?
We're still working on that.
Well, can you get them to Texas?
We do have a cache of boom boxes in Texas. If you can help us.
I'm the official Anarchapulco smuggler, and
that may be true. He drives an RV. I don't know if you're aware of this. He's got a big RV with plenty of space where you might be able to fit some boom boxes inside.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we have a stash of them in Austin, Texas. If that's
that's where I'm at.
Well, this is how the magic happens. It just kind of falls in 100 times in a row. It's crazy.
Nice.
We do have these.
I was going to ask, so why are you doing this? Like, what inspired you to do this? What motivates this whole thing?
you have time for a longer answer, or?
Yeah, take your time.
Well, basically, yeah, we grew up in, we call it Tom and Gerry's Decentralized Dance Party, although now it's spreading, so it's just everyone's decentralized dance party. But my buddy Tom and I, we grew up in this small town in like northern Ontario, and it was a pretty insane party scene growing up. It was just all about getting as crazy as possible and seeing how close we could come to dying, basically, like just climbing trees till they snapped and breaking bottles over our heads and being as insane as we could.
Is it anywhere near Sunnyvale?
What's that, a mental hospital?
No, Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, yeah, it was basically Trailer Park Boys growing up. It was completely insane, completely hilarious, and just some really amazing, authentic human beings. And this was before the internet, pretty much, so we were completely isolated, had no idea what was going on with the rest of the world, and just doing what we thought was awesome, living life to the fullest. And then, yeah, we moved to Vancouver, and we were pretty bored here, so I had an old boombox and plugged my first iPod. It was one of the old iPod Touches into that, and we started going all over the city and just having the craziest adventures and the best times, blasting this boombox everywhere we went. And yeah, that's kind of when it sort of made the transition from destructive to constructive partying. And one night we were out, we had two boom boxes, the iPods died, so we tuned them into the same radio station. And that was the eureka moment where we were like, whoa, like what if we became our own radio station and got hundreds of boom boxes together and threw the craziest, most awesome parties anyone's ever seen. And that's what we did. And yeah, it's a long, long story, but we started in Vancouver. We went from 20 people to like 20,000 during the Olympics, 2010, within 6 months, just growing. Then we did like self-funded, self-booked tours across Canada and the US. And the whole time too, we never got a permit. We never got permission. We just kind of did it as respectfully and strategically as we could. And we thought the police were going to shut us down, but almost everywhere we went, they would just come out and we'd be like, hey, this is a family-friendly, fun, peaceful, respectful event, and we'd love to have your support. And usually they just give us a full police escort through the entire city. And it was just completely magical and unprecedented.
That must be Canada, right? That wouldn't happen in America.
That's what everyone said. And then we went there and it was amazing. Yeah. I mean, we had a few that got shut down early over the years when it was just kind of like a misunderstanding. I think it was in LA. We started, it was at the time of Occupy too, like 2011, 12. So we started right by an Occupy encampment in LA, and someone called us in as Occupy, and then the police captain came out and said, just generally like misunderstandings, and then they didn't want to go back on what they'd said. But yeah, we've never gotten a single noise ticket or any kind of fine. It's been amazing. And the whole time it's just, you kind of have to see it and experience it to believe it, but it's just this amazing, like, peaceful mob. Like I was in the middle of the hockey riot here, and it was just like this insane, destructive, like hive mind mob of humans bent on ruining everything. And this is the opposite, where you get this blank, like, hive mind, just like positive, joyful, unstoppable vibe. And we just did a party with Unify for World Peace Day. They had the tagline, and the hashtag was wage peace. And this is just, yeah, it's like the neatest thing where you can actually like wage peace using audio and partying. And yeah, to me, it's just the most amazing social experiment and rad thing to be doing in the world. Yeah.
Well, I definitely like to dance, so I'm going to see if I can make that on the 17th, Gerry. So keep a spot for me and maybe hold a boombox for me. Well, maybe we can make that happen. Gerry, it's LaChance or LaChance? How do you say that?
Chance.
All right. Thank you for coming on. Is there anything you wanted to? How can people get in touch with you before we depart?
Our website's decentralizeddanceparty.com, or the DDP, THEDDP. And yeah, it's kind of all last minute. and we've set up a crypto crowdfunder there if anyone would like to assist. And yeah, we'll be posting updates on there. Juan's group, Crypto Hippies, they helped us with the first donation. And yeah, basically anyone that wants to come out, we have 2 giant soundbox speakers we're bringing, and also jammy packs and utility kits. So they're kind of like modern versions of the boombox. It's like a fanny pack or a little utility kit with a built-in Bluetooth battery and everything. So we're going to be selling those and lending them out for the party. So if people want one of those, or if they want some power bands, armbands, or shades.
Nice.
Great party accoutrements. And we're going to have, I think, about 30 banana suits to lend out. Every party.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. You need a banana suit?
I might wear a banana suit.
In the name of Bananarchy.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Gerry. Appreciate your time. Hope to see you at Anarchapulco. How long are you going to be there, by the way, just in case we want to hook up outside of that?
Should be arriving the 13th, and no clear departure date yet, but
Okay.
should be pretty visible and audible.
Awesome. All right. We'll look forward to seeing you at Anarchapulco.